Okay, Junior Cert 2020 Geography Higher Level Section 2 is 90 marks. So this is Section 2, 90 marks. Answer any 3 questions and all questions carry equal marks. Question 1, the Earth's surface. 1A, earthquakes. So examine the information above and answer each of the following questions. Part 1, state what is meant by each of the following terms: magnitude and aftershock. Part 2, describe and explain how earthquakes occur. Part 3, explain why the effects of earthquakes are greater in developing cities than in developed cities. 1B, fold mountains. Part 1, name one range of fold mountains in Ireland. Part 2, with the aid of a labelled diagram, explain how fold mountains are formed. 1C, karst landscape. Part 1, name the category of rock in which limestone belongs. Part 2, name one location in Ireland where limestone is found. And Part 3, explain with the aid of a labelled diagram how any one underground feature in a karst landscape was formed. Question 2, population and urban studies. 2A, population. Brazil 1960 and Brazil 2017. Examine the population pyramids above and answer each of the following questions. Part 1, what percentage of the population of Brazil in 2017 is in the 25 to 29 year age group? Part 2, calculate the increase in the total population of Brazil between 1960 and 2017. Part 3, explain one reason why the percentage of the population in the 0 to 4 year age group has reduced between 1960 and 2017. Part 4, explain one problem that Brazil might face in the future given the change in the population structure. And Part 5, describe one way in which governments use population pyramids. 2B, urban functions. Settlements may change in function over time. Describe and explain how the functions of one town or city that you have studied have changed over time. In your answer, refer to 3 different functions. 2C, migration. Part 1, state what is meant by each of the following terms: emigration and barrier to migration. Part 2, name one example of individual migration that you have studied. Part 3, explain 2 push factors associated with this example of individual migration. Question 3, geographical mix. Answer any 3 of the questions: 3A, 3B, 3C, 3D. 3A, igneous rock. Part 1, name one igneous rock that you have studied. Part 2, name a location in Ireland where this rock is found. Part 3, describe and explain, with the aid of a label diagram, how the rock named by you in Part 1 above is formed. 3B, rainfall. Ireland's mean annual rainfall between 1981 and 2010. Examine the map above, which shows Ireland's mean annual rainfall between 1981 and 2010. Part 1. Name one location named on the map where mean annual rainfall greater than 2000 millimeters was recorded. Part 2. Name one location named on the map where the mean annual rainfall was less than 800 millimeters. Part 3. Explain how relief rainfall occurs. Part 4. Name two other types of rainfall. 3C. Manufacturing industry. Part 1. Name one manufacturing industry you have studied. Part 2. Explain how any three of the following factors have influenced the location of the manufacturing industry named by you in Part 1 above. Transport, labour, markets, raw materials, services, or government policies. And 3D. Irish workforce. Number of men and women in paid employment in Ireland in thousands, 1971 and 2016. Examine the table above, which shows the number of men and women in paid employment in Ireland in 1971 and 2016, and answer each of the following questions. Part 1. How many women were in paid employment in Ireland in 1971? Part 2. Calculate X, the total number of men and women in paid employment in Ireland in 2016. Part 3. Explain two reasons why the number of women in paid employment in Ireland has increased since 1971. Part 4. Describe one challenge faced by women in paid employment in Ireland. Question 4. Economic activities. 4A. Global greenhouse gas emissions. World's greenhouse gas emitters 2013. China 26.8%, United States 14.4%, the EU 28 9.7%, India 6.7%, Russia 5%, Japan 3%, Brazil 2.3%, Indonesia 1.7%, Canada 1.7%, Mexico 1.7%, rest of world X. All emissions add up to 100%. Top 10 make up 73% of all emissions. So examine the pie chart above showing the world's greenhouse gas emissions by the top emitters in 2013 and answer the following questions. Part 1. What country produces the greatest percentage of greenhouse gas emissions? Part 2. Calculate X, the percentage of greenhouse gas emissions produced by the rest of the world. Part 3. Explain two causes of greenhouse gas emissions. And Part 4. State one way in which a country can reduce its greenhouse gas emissions. 4B. Tourism. Part 1. Name two types of tourist regions. Part 2. Explain one positive effect of tourism, referring to an example you have studied. Part 3. Explain one negative effect of tourism, referring to an example you have studied. 4C. Exploitation of peat. Part 1. Describe two different ways in which technology has aided the exploitation of peat. Part 2. Explain two reasons why the majority of Ireland's commercial peat production takes place in raised bogs. Question 5. Aerial photograph and ordnance survey map. 5A. Examine the aerial photograph supplied with this paper. Draw a sketch map of the aerial photograph. On your sketch map, show and label each of the following: a church, two connecting streets, a recreational area, the pier in the right foreground. 5B. Examine the ordnance survey map accompanying this paper. Explain 3 reasons why the town of Kilrush is at this location, using evidence from the Ordnance Survey map to support each reason. 5C. Tourism. Examine the Ordnance Survey map and aerial photographs supplied with this paper. Explain 3 reasons why tourists might be attracted to this area, using evidence from the map and aerial photograph to support each reason.